Before the 19th century, the primary drivers of global economic activity were Asian nations. However, the rapid industrialization of Western countries marked a turning point, giving them a significant advantage over the traditional industries of Asian nations. This shift resulted in the colonization of many Asian countries. Consequently, Asian countries transitioned from being leading exporters to becoming the largest importers of finished goods from Western nations. This Western dominance not only extended to the global economy, but also brought cultural changes, affecting fashion, cinema, and notably, cuisine, with the widespread popularity of dishes like pizza, burgers, and soda. Now, the tides are turning once more, as Western countries have been grappling with prolonged economic stagnation. Meanwhile, many Asian countries are experiencing robust economic growth. According to reports from the World Bank and the IMF, by 2020, Asia had become the world's largest continental economy. Emerging economic powerhouses such as China, India, and Indonesia are poised to rise and potentially dominate the global economy in the near future. In this video, we'll explore the top 20 largest economies in the world based on nominal GDP. Now that we've set the stage, let's jump right into the rankings. We're starting with the countries that made it to positions 20 through 1 in the list of the world's top economies of 2023. At number 20, we have Switzerland with a nominal GDP of $896 billion. GDP PPP $774 billion. Growth rate 0.8%. GDP per capita $98,770. Population 8.81 million. Next up at 19, Turkey boasts a nominal with GDP of $1.03 trillion. GDP PPP $3.5 trillion. Growth rate 2.7%. GDP per capita $11,930. Population 86.2 million. And at the 18th spot, we find Saudi Arabia with a nominal GDP of $1.06 trillion. GDP PPP $2.3 trillion. Growth rate 3.1%. GDP per capita $29,920. Population 35.4 million. In position 17, Netherlands shines with a nominal GDP of $1.08 trillion. GDP PPP $1.29 trillion. Growth rate 1%. GDP per capita $61,100. Population 17.6 million. And on we go. Indonesia stands strong at 16 with a nominal GDP of $1.39 trillion. GDP PPP $4.4 trillion. Growth rate 5%. GDP per capita $5,020. Population 277 million. At the number 15 is claimed by Spain, boasting a nominal GDP of $1.49 trillion. GDP PPP $2.36 trillion. Growth rate 1.5%. GDP per capita $31,220. Population 47.8 million. Moving on to the 14th spot, Mexico makes its mark with a nominal GDP of $1.66 trillion. GDP PPP $3.13 trillion. Growth rate 1.8%. GDP per capita $12,670. Population 131 million. And at number 13 we find Australia, boasting a nominal GDP of $1.71 trillion. GDP PPP $1.72 trillion. Growth rate 1.6%. GDP per capita $64,690. Population 26.3 million. At the 12th spot, South Korea shines bright with a nominal GDP of $1.72 trillion. GDP PPP $2.9 trillion. Growth rate 1.5%. GDP per capita $33,390. Population, 51.5 million. At number 11, Russia commands attention with a nominal GDP of $2.06 trillion. GDP PPP $4.9 trillion. Growth rate 0.7%. GDP per capita $14,400. Population 143 million. At number 10, Brazil secures a spot with a staggering and nominal GDP of $2.08 trillion. GDP PPP $4.2 trillion. Growth rate 0.9%. GDP per capita $9,670. Population 215 million. In the ninth position, Canada is making waves with a nominal GDP of $2.09 trillion. GDP PPP $2.3 trillion. Growth rate 1.5%. GDP per capita $52,720. Population 39.6 million. Claiming the eighth spot, Italy boasts a nominal GDP of $2.17 trillion. GDP PPP $3.2 trillion. Growth rate 0.7%. GDP per capita $36,810. Population 58.9 million. At number 7, France stands tall with a nominal GDP of $2.92 trillion. GDP PPP $3.87 trillion. Growth rate 0.7%. GDP per capita $44,410. Population 65.8 million. Coming in at 6th place, UK commands attention with a nominal GDP of $3.16 trillion. GDP PPP $3.85 trillion. Growth rate 0.3%. GDP per capita $46,370. Population 68.1 million. In 5th place, India shines bright with a nominal GDP of $3.84 trillion. GDP PPP $13.1 trillion. Growth rate 6.5%. GDP per capita $2,760. Population 1.46 billion. At number 4, Germany wields economic clout with a nominal GDP of $4.31 trillion. GDP PPP $5.55 trillion. Growth rate 0.1%. GDP per capita $51,380. Population 83.6 million. In 3rd place, Japan commands attention with a nominal GDP of $4.41 trillion. GDP PPP $6.46 trillion. Growth rate 1.3%. GDP per capita $35,390. Population 124 million. And at the penultimate position, number 2, China demonstrates remarkable economic strength with a nominal GDP of $19.4 trillion. GDP PPP $33.1 trillion. Growth rate 5.2%. GDP per capita $13,720. Population 1.41 billion. Now, brace yourselves for the grand final. In the top position, we have USA reigning supreme with a nominal GDP of $26.8 trillion. GDP PPP $26.8 trillion. Growth rate 1.6%. GDP per capita at $80,030. Population 335 million. These top 20 economies are a testament to the various paths of success in the global economic arena. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care and keep exploring.